Hello everyone, you're welcome to this week's Tech Tuesdays webinar on operationalizing privacy with data privacy management. I'm Brinda, your host for today's webinar. Today we have with us Ramesh Swaminathan, Principal Product Manager in Data Governance and Security Group, managing data privacy management and data archive products at Informatica as a presenter. Before we start this webinar, let's go through some housekeeping tips. This webinar is for 1 hour, including the Q&A. You can post your queries in the Q&A box. Therein, participants are muted for this webinar. The session is being recorded and will be available in the Informatica Support YouTube channel and the Success portal. The recording will be emailed to you as well. You can put in your feedbacks and suggestions for the session in the post-webinar survey. The Tech Tuesdays webinar program is hosted within the Success portal. The Informatica Success Portal is a micro-learning platform offering free and unlimited learning to all registered users. This feature-rich platform was launched to help you learn and use Informatica products better. A newly launched data governance learning path in the Success Portal will enable you to implement data-centric approach to compliance based on your role. Here are a few important links that you can go over later that will help you in your product adoption journey with Informatica. Over to you, Ramesh. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks, Brinda, for the introduction. Thanks, everyone, for joining the call today. Today, we are going to learn about how you can operationalize data privacy governance with data privacy management and the associated products at Informatica. The new state regulations have actually brought in an urgent need to operationalize your data privacy governance practice. While the urgency has been created by all these new regulations and the changes to the regulations, making personal and sensitive data safe for use is a big value creator. And this is going to be your key for accelerating your digital transformation. As you go about doing this, how can you ensure that your operations are compliant to the various privacy regulations that are in force today, the changes to the privacy, to the various privacy regulations that's going to come in future, and the new regulations that's going to come in the future, right? That's what we're going to talk about today, right? So what do we bring, right? We all understand the challenges with this practice, but what does Informatica bring in for this? Is basically the power of what we call as the metadata platform. We actually automate the whole data discovery, classification, protection, and response to the various privacy policies that are defined by the regulators, by your internal stakeholders. Understand risk associated with the sensitive data that you're carrying and prioritize remediation. And speed up the implementation of the various controls that's required as regulations come in, right? And scale up your privacy governance practice. And while doing all this, while you are ensuring that you're compliant to the various regulations, you will also ensure that there is increased trust in your business and the agility of your business, and helps in developing a self-service and automated value creation in such a way that it is safe. It is safe from a privacy perspective. It is safe from the various governance regulations perspective. And it is also safe from the various threats that come out. Could be data breach, could be other things that happen, your perimeter breach and things like that. But how do we ensure that data stays safe as you create this environment of agility and self-service within your organization? And that's what I'm going to talk about today. Informatica talks about a 6-step process for privacy regulations. These are 6 logical steps that you need to take as an organization in your journey to create a compliant data privacy governance framework for your operations, right? These 6 steps are pretty logical. One is you define and manage your governance policies. You have your legal stakeholders, your business stakeholders who are going to, certain, understand, interpret the various regulations that are coming in, and define the policies that will govern data, usage of data, movement of data for your organization. And when this is done with long-term view in place, not really for a specific policy like CCPA or CPRA or whatever is coming in, but with a long-term policy of your digital transformation journey. And that's where our Axon product comes in. And once that has been done, that has been documented, your governance policies are documented, the next step would be to locate and map your personal data. Being able to discover where your personal data is, where your constituents, your subjects' personal data is, being able to catalog that, classify them, and understand how much of that data is sensitive is the second step. And once you have done that, that's where the data privacy management product comes in. And once you have done that, you'll have to link actual persons to their personal data. You know that you have personal data in those 100 discrete systems within your IT portfolio, but how will you link um, those data in those 100 data stores to an actual person, to actual subject? And that's where, again, DPM comes into place, where we provide a way in which using our identity correlation capabilities, you will be able to map identities and identify where subject data is and link an actual person to the data that's lying in your databases. And once you have done that, right, once you know that where this personal data is and you have created a link, the fourth step, which is a very important step, is how do you understand the risk associated to this data? What is the risk associated to the data that you're holding, the sensitive data, the PII data that you're holding about your different constituents? And what kind of protection plans that you need to put in place? What kind of remediation plans that you need to put in place so that the data stays safe, right? This is where again DPM comes into picture, where we do a data risk analysis. You could do a simulation of the various risks that you're holding within your organization and make a remediation plan. And once you have made a remediation plan, you need to protect data. So Informatica has various protection mechanisms using our persistent data masking products to protect this data. Also, as you protect the data, you also will have to respond to requests. I mean, subject requests that are coming from the various subjects that you work with. And DPM provides a way in which you can do this, right? And once you operationalize the way in which you fulfill subject requests, you'll have to again track the progress of compliance. You'll have to communicate the readiness of your privacy operations to various stakeholders. You'll have to create reports. You'll have to look at what is the inflow of requests that's coming in and create reports. And again, that's where DPM will help you. And DPM with its integration with Axon will actually also communicate this to the business stakeholders on the health of your privacy operations. So I've been talking about privacy operations a lot, right? I mean, but what exactly is a compliant business operation? This is a slide that I have borrowed from Gartner, right? From a privacy management and a compliant program, there are three pieces to it. One is the privacy management piece, where you have the governance, risk, and compliance dashboards. You'll have data mapping, lifecycle visualization of various processes within your organizations. DPIA, where you do your data protection impact assessments. You created assessments for data breaches and other various activities, right? Privacy control is where you do discovery, classification of data. You understand where the data is. You put up various authorization and access management policies for your data. You start protecting your data by doing anonymization or pseudo-anonymization. Do privacy preserving analytics, differential privacy kind of actions, wherein you ensure that data as it moves to various non-production systems are protected for privacy. And then things like data deletion for as per subject requests, are some things that you have to do as part of privacy control. And there is the third piece, which is a security control piece, which is sort of your DCAP and CASB kind of activities, right? Where it's more like your perimeter security, your DLPs, where you monitor the movement of data, you look at enterprise mobility management, and again, there are various controls and products that can do that. From an Informatica perspective, what we are looking at today of the privacy operations is how do we automate and enable your organization to be compliant to the privacy control piece. This is where the Informatica's products will come into play. Being able to discover, classify data, being able to do anonymization, being able to do deletion, and preserve privacy while doing analytics. I'll talk about all this in a moment. So as you do this, what does data privacy bring in for all the various cross-functional stakeholders, right? I mean, sensitive data is everywhere. You will have to collect sensitive data on a day-to-day basis. But then for your organization to be compliant, what does it mean from value perspective for the different key roles within your organization, right? One is your CISO, right? I mean, he is looking at how am I going to protect, how am I going to ensure that the data that you are holding within your organization is safe, is protected, and is not getting into the hands of people it should not be getting into, right? So DPM actually provides intelligence for data protection. It automates protection and monitoring services from a CISO perspective. And from a privacy officer's perspective, a privacy officer is right in center of ensuring that there is a privacy compliant organization, right? And for him, he is going to actually get information about the various data, the sensitive data that is available in the various data stores within your organization. He is going to get, using DPM, all information about the personal data that you're holding, the kinds of personal data that you're holding within an organization. And from a privacy compliance perspective, right, you'll be able to respond to subject requests faster. You'll be able to create automation around being able to respond to subject requests and assess the risks that you hold in your organization of privacy data that you hold. And from a CDO perspective, this is the key. A CDO's role is he's looking at the digital transformation. He's looking at how can he digitalize the enterprise, make value out of the data that the enterprise holds, and this whole program, the data privacy program and the data privacy management product that I'm going to talk about, is going to help him, safeguard privacy, safeguard security of the products, and ensure that the whole data governance bar security practice is integrated into his portfolio of products as he goes into data self-service and digital transformation initiatives. So what is data privacy management? Data privacy management is a product within the data governance and privacy portfolio of Informatica. It is an enterprise-wide privacy and security intelligence software. What can data privacy management do at a high level? It can actually go and identify sensitive data and classify data. When I say identify sensitive data, discover sensitive data, I mean it can actually go in and say, hey, this is where your credit card informations are, this is where your SSN numbers are, this is where your credit card numbers are, etc. And then they can and a DPM can use this data to actually classify data as per your various policies. So you can define policies such that you can say that this data that has been discovered comes within the gambit of being a PII data, a PHI data, or the various privacy regulations. Does it come under GDPR program, under CCPA program? Because all these different regulations define what a subject data is, what a personal data is differently. And you will be able to define all these policies within DPM, so that when DPM goes in and does sensitive data discovery, it will be able to classify data and tell you that, hey, GDPR information is available with these data stores, or CCPA information is available here. DPM also does data subject registry. So what is that? I will talk about it in detail in a few minutes, but it creates a registry of all the subjects in your organization and helps you respond to subject requests. DPM also gets in sensitive data proliferation analysis. It actually tells you where all sensitive data is available in your various data sources, and if this data has moved from one system to another as part of various processes, that this data is tracked and you get a view, a map-like view of where the data is moving. DPM also provides user activity on sensitive data. If you bring in user activity on your data sources, DPM will do an analysis of this data and provide you with various kinds of analytics on user activity. DPM does risk scoring. It provides you with risks that you're holding. It does a score of the risks that you hold within your organization across the different data stores. And this risk can be ranked at various levels, at a data store level, at an enterprise level, at a line of business level, at an individual department level. You can say, okay, finance holds more sensitive data than, say, HR, and then there is a ranking that's available, which is calculated based on a specific set of parameters, and these parameters are even you can even go and change these parameters. You can do anomaly detection based on user activity. Effectively, if there is an anomaly in the way data is being accessed, that anomaly can be detected and reported, and action taken on those anomalies. There is policy-based alerting in the product. The product can do data protection simulation and planning. It can simulate the various risks and the remediation that can happen around that risk, and provide you tooling so that you can decide on what kind of remediation is required based on the risk that you hold within your organization. DPM also provides workflows for manual or automated data protection. So if you have to do data protection using Informatica's persistent data masking products or dynamic data masking products, or if you want to use a third-party tool for doing this, you can do that using the orchestration flow that DPM provides. DPM also integrates with the governance tool Axon, wherein DPM will provide an overlay to Axon. So as a business user or as a business stakeholder who is looking at governance policy and execution of governance policy within Axon, he will be able to see an overlay of the privacy and the risk levels that your data stores are carrying from within Axon. And you can go into the governance console and link the governance artifacts to the various data stores and ensure that there is an interaction between your governance policies and the data stores in DPM, and so that a business user can go in, a legal user can go in and look at the kind of risks the various data stores are carrying based on the various governance policies that have been created. Axon can also integrate with DPM to associate processes and stakeholder information, and so that you will see an overlay of the Axon processes within the data privacy management product. This actually helps you in your ROPA reporting and also evaluating the kind of risks that you carry as data gets proliferated among different data sources. DPM also integrates with EDC. If you are an EDC customer and if you've already run your scans in EDC, then you do not have to run your scans against in DPM. DPM can bring in the scan results from EDC. There's an import option wherein you can import scan results from EDC to DPM. If you have been using EDC for quite some time now and you have scanned your sources using EDC, you'll get a very quick time to value with implementation of DPMs, because you can import this information into DPM, and then DPM will do its analysis of its classification policy and highlight if there are any policy gaps. Now, coming to the gist of what I'm going to talk about, right? From a privacy operations perspective, there are a few things that you need to do as a privacy officer or as a CPO. One of the big things that you have to do is fulfilling subject requests, and data privacy management provides you with tooling to fulfill subject requests in DPM. So how does it do, right? DPM has a meta model that has been built into the product, so that it helps in creation of this subject registry. It also helps in creating the metadata around the data that is available. A DPM can analyze data, can discover data and find out that, hey, this data has these sensitive fields. But this data has to be enriched with some more metadata information from a privacy perspective. And when you look at the various regulations, you can see the link between how this works, right? Within DPM, you can say that, hey, you are holding credit card information, right? But if you're holding credit card information, you need to know why are you holding credit card information, right? And what is the category of data? So with both GDPR, CCPA, and the various LGBT regulations, there is a concept of data categories. So you are supposed to understand what kind of categories of data are you holding about subjects. So DPM has a concept of data categories as part of its meta model structure. Data categories are a combination of data domains. If you know EDC or DPM, data domains are ways in which we identify sensitive data in your data stores. And what you can do is you can create various data categories. You can say personal data category, you can say geographic data category, financial data categories, and then club information about these different sensitive data to this category. For example, your credit card information and account number are part of your financial data category of a subject. You could create a data category called financial data category, and then add these data domains to that particular category. Similarly, there could be a data category called let's say demographics, right? I mean, demographics could have age, gender, and even maybe sometimes you could have biometric information about subjects that you're collecting. So you could club them all together and create something called demographics data categories. If you look at CCPA has various ways of defining these. GDPR has various ways, so you could create your own data categories using DPM. Purpose for which you're storing data. So you are collecting data from different users for various purposes, and then DPM provides a way in which, as you have collected and stored this data, for each of the sensitive data element that you have collected about a subject, you can associate purpose. There's an automated way in which purpose can be associated to a data store, and then you could manually change that for specific data elements. DPM also ensures that it identifies the residency of a subject through a configuration in the subject index during the subject index creation process. And residency is important because residency indicates the actual regulation that is applicable for a given subject. Legal holds. This is another meta model element that has been added to DPM, wherein you could apply legal hold to different subjects from the subjects UI that is available in the product. You could do this through an API, but then this has a bigger implication from a fulfillment of a subject request perspective, because if there is a subject which is under litigation for whatever reasons, you could create a legal hold on the subject and then not provide information or not fulfill the request by a subject. So it's pretty important that you understand that there is legal holds on subjects, and DPM provides a way in which you can track. The other piece is third-party shares. Data actually moves out of your data store, out of your data center to your vendor's data center for processing perspective. and DPM will track this. I mean, DPM will not track it, but DPM has a way in which you can actually provide this information, and DPM will report on this if data has moved from your data store to a different data store, to a different data store outside of your organization. There's a way. So once you have done all this, there is a subject onboarding process that you have to go through. There are a few steps to do this. You'll have to define the subject type. An organization could have different types of subjects, like a customer, an employee, a vendor, a contractor, could all be different subject types within your organization. And there are ways in which you define the subject type. There's a JSON file where these are defined in the product. And then the second part is you'll have to define how do you extract data from different data stores, and then you'll have to run the subject scans. This is three-step process for building subject registry within DPM. We are not going to go into that today, but there is a Tech Tuesday which is going to happen a couple of weeks from now, where there's going to be a technical deep dive on this topic. People who are interested, who want to understand this technology, please don't forget to sign up for that particular Tech Tuesday, where we will go into the details of building the subject registry. So once the subject onboarding has happened, how does a subject request fulfillment happen within DPM? Right. So what happens is you can once different subject types are created, there is a subject registry page within DPM, wherein you can go in and look at all the subject types that has been configured within DPM, and select the subject type of the subject you want. The subject type in a typical organization would be a customer, employee, contractor, or vendor. So when you get in a subject request, you will definitely know what is the type of subject, because you would have filled in a digital form or a physical form. A subject would have filled in a digital or physical form, where he would have said what is his relationship with your organization, and then that would typically say that, okay, I was a customer, I'm a customer, or I'm an employee. Right. So those are actually configured into the system as part of the onboarding process. And then you will see, when you go to the subject registry page, you will see that all these subject types are sort of listed. And when you select a subject type, you could now you will get ways in which you can search for the subject. So when a subject request comes in, when this guy has the subject in question has actually sent you the request, he would have given you information of how he can be identified in the organization, right? It could be an employee number, it could be his first name, last name, telephone numbers. I mean, all these search fields are again configurable. And once it is configured as part of the onboarding process, from a privacy analyst perspective, he just has to do a keyword search on the various parameters that he has, and then he would get the search results. The search results would come up. The search results we are searching from an index that was created by DPM as part of the onboarding process, and the product uses an industry-leading identity matching algorithm within it. So it actually searches the index that was created during the scans. We also provide a confidence score based on the search algorithm that we have run. And it also includes some information about the subject to ensure that the right subject is selected. So you know that, okay, I searched for John, this is John Snow, that is his email address, and that's his phone number, and these are his residency. All the fields that you see here on the screen are all configurable. You as a customer would decide what fields you would see, what fields you would search on. All that is something that is configurable during the onboarding process. So once I know that this is John Snow that I'm looking at, I can now go into the details page of John Snow. There are like two parts in that page. You will see that there's a subject details page, which is providing information that is available in the index. Basically, those are the data that has been used to identify the subject. And you can see all the information listed there, like employee number, last name, date of birth, what is the type of subject, what is the residency of the subject. You also see the list of all the data stores that has this employee information, right? Okay, now you can see in the second screenshot below that this employee information is available in 3 data stores. It says employee, employee assets, and employee current job. There are three data stores which has this information. This screen, as you can see, the first screenshot in this page, it also provides you with all the earlier requests that were made for this particular subject. The reason why this is important is certain regulations have certain limits on the number of requests that you can do in a year for a given subject, right? I mean, CCPA right now says it's 2 per year. GDPR says a fair use policy. So as a privacy analyst, when I have received a request from this John Snow, I can look into the screen and say, hey, this guy already has 2 requests. So maybe I should process or I should not process. Is something that he can take a call at that point in time. I had talked about legal hold, but legal holds can also be applied from this page here. I mean, from the actions menu here, you can go and apply legal hold on John Snow. And if there was an already applied legal hold, you will know with an icon that there is a legal hold applied, and the system will alert you saying legal hold was applied on Jon Snow. So once I have seen that this is the data of Jon Snow, I know now that, hey, Jon Snow, this is the guy that I want to create a subject report for. I know that Jon Snow's information is available in these 4 data stores. What are the various things I can do, right? I can go and as you can see the screen, I can do a few things. I can prepare a DSAR report. What happens is you can go and click on the DSAR report and prepare a DSAR report. What it does is now the system will go into all the data stores which has, because we have already created an index, we have created a subject index which actually has information that there is a subject called Jon Snow. Who is an employee, and this employee's information is available in 4 different data stores. Now the DPM will go in and actually crawl to these data stores, pick up data from these data stores, do a query on these data stores, create the report, and make this report available to you. This report creation is almost real time because the indexing is already done. The scans have already been done. There is no need for an additional scan to be done. It is just about going and picking up data from these various data stores and putting it into a format that can be provided to a privacy analyst. You could also do various subject related actions from here. You could create a service management ticket to delegate DSAR actions. I mean, for example, or you could just email the subject information to somebody else, or you could export the subject information for further process. All these actions can be performed through an API call if you have built your own privacy UX, or you work with one of Informatica's partners, or you have a different product for actually fulfilling the accepting requests and fulfilling requests. You could integrate those with Informatica's DPM so that all these information is available through an API call, and a privacy analyst does not have to come to this particular DPM UI for doing this. So once I have said download DSAR report, there are various options in which you can download this report. You can download a CSV version of this report with details of all the data, or you can just get a summary CSV without personal details. You could get a summary PDF. You could get a summary PDF without personal details. So all this data report is created, and you can download the report data in whatever format you want to. All the 4 formats are available in the UI for you. You can download all the 4 formats, or you can download one of them and you can use this for further processing. One thing to note here is these DSAR reports are only available for a specific period of time. Note, this DSAR report contains sensitive data about a subject. So there are retention periods which are defined within the product. And then once the retention period is covered, these reports automatically get deleted from the product, and you will have to recreate the report. So we are ensuring, as we design DPM, we are ensuring that the product itself is privacy focused, and we are building it as privacy by design. As I mentioned, you can as mentioned earlier, you can do a delegation of tasks from within this page. I showed you earlier that there is a create service management ticket that can happen from the take action menu of the subject details page. You can initiate a task for fulfilling subject request from DPM through integration with service management system. You could be using ServiceNow, Remedy, whatever service manage, Jira. So whatever ticketing system that you could be using within your organization, the product can be integrated with any of these ticketing tools, wherein as part of the process you could take action. The action could be right to remediation, the action could be right to be forgotten, the action could be anonymization. So there could be multiple actions that subject is requesting for from us for his data. And from a DPM perspective, you can actually now create these tasks, and these tasks could be automated or manual task assignments could happen based on the configuration that you have created, and and spawn a ticket in, say, ServiceNow, Remedy, or Jira, and then that ticket number is actually stored within the task management in DPM. And if there is any change to the task, if the task gets closed in Jira or ServiceNow, that information is brought back to DPM so that the privacy analyst who has created this task has a track of what's happening with that particular delegated task. We do have native integration with ServiceNow. We have using the ServiceNow APIs, but the model is pluggable. You could integrate with Remedy, Jira, or any other tools that you are using within your organization. Note, as part of this this particular task delegation, there are a few things that you need to note. The actual data, if you choose to, the actual DSAR report that the product creates can be attached to this particular ticket, so that for somebody to take action on the data, you could take action on the data because the data is available. Two, there could be multiple tasks that could be spawned for a single subject request, because there could be different data owners for different data stores within an organization, and you would want to spawn different tickets. So that's also perfectly fine. These are things that you could do with the product. As privacy analyst, when he is actually delegating this task, could actually select one or multiple data stores for doing this information. So this is all about fulfilling a subject request. So as you're fulfilling a subject request, you also have to know from an operations perspective, you need to know what's happening with your privacy operations. So DPM comes with a privacy dashboard. It's a new dashboard which provides a quick view of the status of the various privacy operations. It also gives you, alerts on call to actions for critical time-bound subject tasks, because subject-related fulfillment is very time-bound. Different regulations have different time periods in which you have to respond to tasks. So task once created within DPM will have there are widgets out there which will tell you that the task is overdue and you need to take action on it. DPM also has a security dashboard which is tracking the status of the security, the kind of risks that you're carrying with the product. So you can switch between a privacy view of the dashboard and a security view of the dashboard based on your persona, based on the kind of work that you're doing. There are a few key privacy indicators in the privacy dashboard. One, it tells you the total number of subjects that you're holding, because we have created index of subjects. The product knows what is the number of subjects that you're holding, how many subjects are under legal hold, and if there has been an increase or decrease of subject information over a period of time. The product also, the dashboard also tracks the various subject requests that's happening. You could go and see a trend line of the various subject requests that's coming in over a period of time in a given year. You could look, there's a widget which talks about the number of subject types. You could have multiple subject types, and each subject type could have X number of subjects. So you can go and have a look at that. You'll also get a view of how many data stores have subject information with it, and how many of those data stores, from how many of those data stores data is being shared with third-party providers. So all this data is actually provided by the dashboard. The dashboard also provides you with different metrics on the top data stores by subjects. It gives you a list of all the data stores that has subject information. It is sorted in a descending order so that you know that which data stores have a lot more subject information. You'll also get a view of a geolocation of the subject data. based on the data stores that have subject information and the data centers in which these data stores are located in. You get a visual map of where all your subject information is. It only provides you with that data, the data of those data stores that have subject information, and you can filter this by various region, APJ, EMEA, LATAM, North America. There are two more widgets which actually provide you information on the health of your privacy practice. One is subject requests by due date. It lists all the subject requests that are in open state or which has a warning, which actually says that a privacy analyst should go in and have a look at the data, take some action on those privacy on the subject requests that come in. So this provides a view wherein you can look at all the subjects which call for attention, and then you can click on a specific subject request, go into the detail, and take action on it. There's also another widget which provides a visual graph of all the requests in a given time period. And this graph is actually provides you the count of requests that's coming by the type of request. And it could be multiple requests. It could be a simple data request. It could be actionable requests like right to be forgotten or right to remediation and things like that. So, so you get to track the different kinds of requests that your organization is getting over a period of time. So the third piece of operationalizing privacy is being able to report on breach that happens, right? I mean, most of the regulations indicate that you'll have to report breach in a specific format within 48 hours of the breach happening, or you being aware of the breach. The product provides, because DPM does scan all the data sources that has subject information. It also has information about various categories of data. It has information about the various subject information within a specific data stores. This is a point. This is why DPM can actually help you create this breach report. You can go to a specific data store that has data about subjects and go and create a breach report. This report is in a CSV format with information on the kind of data that's available in the data stores, and this actually helps a DPO to report very quickly to the regulator as required when a breach happens. DPM does not store details of the actual breach itself. DPM does not identify the breach itself. The product is not going to tell you that a breach has happened. But when a breach has happened and a DPO needs to report, he can go and contact the data store owner, and the data store owner can get into data privacy management and create a data breach report, which actually gives you information. Privacy related information about the data store that is required for creating a breach report, like the categories of data, the purpose for which the data was stored, how many columns of sensitive data was available, what is the number of sensitive data available, was this sensitive data protected, the number of subjects data which was available in this particular data store. So all this information can be extracted using the data breach report, and this report can be made available to your DPO, who can collate this information and provide to the regulator as and when required. That was a quick overview of the various functionality within the product that will help you operationalize your privacy practice. I hope this was helpful to you. So, in summary, data privacy management helps in operationalizing your data privacy practice. Informatica highly recommends a six-step journey to automate your privacy operations. And data privacy management has a rich set of easy-to-use features, which caters to the three main pillars of privacy operations: creating an inventory of data sets. This is where you do your discovery, classify your data as per various policies. Two, which I talked about in the early part of my presentation. Two was fulfillment of subject requests, where you provide a easy to use UI for a privacy analyst to go in and create reports, delegate tasks for fulfilling various subject requests, and enabling reports are created for breach reporting so that you stay compliant to regulations. That's all I had for today. Thank you, and I will hand it over to Vrinda again for Q&A. Thanks again, all of you, for joining this and helping understand operationalizing data privacy management using products.
Hi everyone, please post your questions in the Q&A box. We'll try and answer them.
Thank you, Vrinda. This is Ramesh here. I'm on the call and ready to take any questions. We have had a few questions already. As new questions come by, I would like to read those questions for the benefit of others. One of the question was, can we use DPM without Axon? And the answer I had provided in Q&A was yes, absolutely. DPM can be used without Axon. DPM can be used on its own. There are advantages of using DPM with Axon, but that's not a must-have and that's not mandatory. You could still use DPM without Axon. And the other question was, is there a possibility of DPM running along with EDC and Axon? Yes, DPM, EDC, and Axon all work together. They are integrated and can be run together. There are benefits of running them together because you could have integration. You could, as I mentioned earlier in the slide, you could bring in privacy-related information into the Axon dashboard and view information, and we could bring in process information from Axon into DPM and view them. And EDC and DPM use the same metadata platform, and you could scan sources in one of the products and use the scan results in other products, and this can be used alternatively. So that's the advantage of using DPM and EDC together. Does the workflow integrate with Snow for ticketing? Yes, we do have an out-of-the-box integration with ServiceNow for ticketing. There is a plugin that is available with the product that will integrate with ServiceNow using the APIs. That's the only service management integration that we have. If we have other products that you want to integrate with, you could use our plugin model to write your own integrations. But for ServiceNow, we have it written already for you. There's a question from Lou A from Deloitte Consulting. Can you use DPM without EDC? Does DPM has its own scanners? Yes, DPM can be used without EDC. You don't have to buy EDC for using DPM, though the underlying platform is the same. You could use DPM without EDC also from a buying perspective. The other question on scanners, DPM and EDC share scanners for certain sources, and for certain sources, DPM has its own scanners, specifically for unstructured sources. DPM has its own scanners for various reasons. So yes, but from a procurement perspective, you can buy DPM without EDC. So there's another question from Anand at Heister. I think Mukesh has answered that question. Does DPM have their own policies in it? GDPR, CCP, API, PHI? Yes, DPM ships with a certain set of policies. Those are sort of accelerators that you have. You could go in and change those policies. You could add new policies as you wish to, but DPM ships with certain set of policies.
Thank you, Ramesh.
Thank you, Vrinda. Please let us know if you have any other questions, and we can answer them.
I think we have one more question from Anand, Mukesh, Ramesh.
Sure. So the question from Anand is, if we connect EDC and Axon with DPM, Does DPM search sensitive fields automatically? Do we need to search manually? So if you have already ran your scans, your scans using EDC, you do not have to run scans again for DPM. DPM can import the scans from EDC and then run the DPM policies and then get your results. You do not have to run the scans again. On DPM. While installing DPM, Axon, EDC, DDM, IICS, which tools should be on the same server? Which tools should be on different servers? DPM and EDC are on the same servers. It is on the domain, on the Informatica domain. Axon generally is on a different server. IICS is on the cloud, so with DPM, EDC or on-prem products that needs to be installed, and DDM has to be installed separately on a different server. Shiva Karthikeyan from Netlink has a question: which specific area Tech Tuesday of 16th March will focus on? So on 16th March, we are going to talk about the whole onboarding process. We are going to talk about how do you enable subject registry in DPM, and how quickly can you create this subject registry, and all the functionality that we talked about today about being able to create your subject requests, being able to orchestrate workflow based on the subject request or the data that is being extracted from using DPM. So we are going to get into a little more technical details on how are you going to connect to these data stores, how does DPM create these subject registry and the subject index, and we are going to do a double click into this whole area and get into some technology in terms of how does this whole process work from a DPM perspective, and give you some insights on how quickly you can get this done with an Informatica. Thanks everyone for being pretty active and asking all these questions on the call. Very valid questions from all of you. Hopefully this session was useful. We'll wait for some more time for any more questions that will come up.
Sure, Ramesh. We just received another question from Anand. Ramesh?
Oh, yes, I'm trying to understand the question. Yes, thanks, Vrinda. After getting sensitive fields from DPM, if we mask data using TDM or DDM, and an unauthorized user created the data analytics dashboard using data visualizations tool, so can the dashboard freeze with masked data, or it can show correct data to authorized person? Mukesh is answering the question. Mukesh, you want to answer that question on the phone? Is Mukesh there on the phone?
I think Mukesh, we do not have Mukesh online, Ramesh.
Sure, fine. Let me answer it. So I think Mukesh is typing in the answer.
Sure.
Depending on the kind of masking that you are doing, this could happen. DDM does only dynamic masking, so dynamic masking does not work on the data analytics dashboard. It's not supported today. And TDM, if the data has been masked, if the data has been, if you have used persistent masking to mask the data at the source, then yes, the analytics dashboard would show the data in a mask. The data dashboard would not freeze, but the data dashboard would show data in a masked format because the data has been masked in the persistent layer. DDM is sort of a dynamic masking from an end user perspective, and I don't think dynamic masking work with the DAA dashboard at this point.
Thank you, Ramesh. We have some more time for the Q&A. Everyone, please post your questions in the Q&A box. We'll try and answer them. Yeah, we have another one from Udit. Ramesh?
I am not aware of an answer to this question. I'll have to rely on Mukesh. Can we create asset analytics dashboard inside Axon to display how many assets are involved with several regulations such as CCPA or GDPR? This is an Axon question. I'm not a Axon expert. Mukesh, can you help answer this question for me in the chat, please? And publish it to everyone so that everybody is aware of the answer.
Yeah, even if Mukesh is not able to answer now, we'll definitely get back after this session with you, Udit.
Sure, thanks, Vrinda. So Anand has a continuation question on TDM. So dashboard creator must need authorization for database unmasked data, right? So basically, Anand, we are talking about TDM here, where if the data has been masked at the source of the database layer, then the data is masked. The TDM, the persistent data masking product, masks the data permanently. The data is masked at the persistent layer, and so in spite of the authorization that is available, data is always masked once PDM is used for masking data, which is different from DDM. DDM is a dynamic masking product where data gets masked while accessing at the UI layer of where you're accessing the data. But when you're using the TDM product, which has the persistent data masking tool, the data in the database is permanently masked. So that's what you will see. You will not be able to see the data unmasked after the data has been masked, for sure. Yeah. I think we have time for one or two more questions at this point, right, Vrinda?
Yes, Ramesh. Yeah. Everyone, please post your questions in the Q&A box if you have any queries. You will find the recording for this webinar in the Informatica Support YouTube channel and the Success portal. You'll also be able to download the slide deck as in the form of PDF. Ramesh, there is one question from Udit.
Yes,
again.
I'm just reading the question from Udit. Yeah, could PII classification of assets in DPM allow for overlaying inside the lineage in enterprise data catalog similar to business terms overlay? No, the PII classification of assets in DPM overlay is available as part of the overlay in Axon, but this information is not actually available within the data catalog product. The Axon dashboard will have information about the classification policies that are associated to a data store, and that's something that you can view from the dashboard, from the Axon dashboard. If you have the data privacy overlay, that's visible within Axon, but not in EDC. I think we are getting to the end of the hour, and back to you, Vrinda. I think thanks everyone for attending the call today. If you have any further questions, please feel free to write to us, give us your feedback on the session, and we'll talk again in the next session in a couple of weeks. Thanks everyone.
Yeah. Thanks everyone. Thanks for joining. Thank you, Ramesh, for this great session. Also, if we are not able to answer your questions in the session, we will definitely get back to you after this session. Thank you so much. See you on our next Tech Tuesday. Bye.